I'm afraid I will be forever engaged to my fiance. He proposed 4 years ago and I don't think we will ever get married. Should I keep bringing it up? My relationship goes back about 12 years with my fiance. We met when I was 21 and just out of another relationship, so I did not allow myself much of a dating or growth experience. Over the years, the relationship has had its ups and downs. The lows were toxic and we were immature and disrespected toward each other. He proposed to me 4 years ago, Sept 2019 on my 30th birthday. I had been in a dark mental place at the time and I was not expecting it. I actually wasn't expecting him to ask me to marry him ever. I thought we would go to the jewelry store and pick out a ring one day, but he took me on a vacation, got down on one knee in a beautiful unforgettable setting, made a speech and popped the question. I didn't expect it. I didn't think he had it in him. I was surprised, emotional and cried tears of happiness. Anyways, it's been 4 years and when I try to bring up discussions of wedding planning or getting married he shuts it down. We were in couples therapy and he got defensive around the subject of it. He's randomly brought it up but it's only been once or twice. This was about a year ago. We were both in a toxic mental place during our 4 to 5 months of therapy. It has been about a year since therapy but we both found a new love and understanding for each other. I remained in therapy. I found myself to have more compassion and empathy for him, and myself. We still fight but a lot less and we've learned each other's triggers. He's expressed how appreciative of me he is and that he loves me. He tells me he wants to marry me one day but I feel like it's a carrot dangling on a stick. Anyways, the getting married part, he said he wanted kids before marriage in therapy last year, but I think my time to have kids is diminishing. We tried to have kids naturally for 2 years. Last year we found out the infertility was male factor, so it was on him, and the doctor told us our only option was IVF. I told him during a couples therapy session last year that I would not do IVF unless we were married. I was a couple weeks of negotiating or compromising but we were both set on the way we wanted. I've since changed my stance on it and put my body through the IVF process and we have a handful of healthy embryos cryopreserved. I think I did this out of fear of aging and him. I thought this would be a good compromise. Not to mention it was hard on my body. I'm trying to wrap my head around why he won't marry me. I've agreed to sign a prenup, even though we had nothing when we met. I feel like I need that reassurance, legally, financially, officially on paper, etc. I've worked on my codependency and shifted my focus on part-time work from home. He doesn't want me to work, so I am doing stay-at-home housewife duties. I know I am not supposed to care what our friends think, but I can only imagine what they say behind my back. Social media has made being a single woman in her mid-30s sound so shameful, and worse for single moms. I can't help but feel sorry and angry at myself for not seeing the signs that he was not going to marry me earlier in the relationship. Neither of his parents are married, or in healthy relationships, so I should have seen the red flags. It's just messing with my self-worth and making me question whether I deserve to be a married woman. I see my friends all getting married and having kids, and I can't help but to feel ashamed of what I allowed to be okay with. These are new thoughts I've been having, thanks to social media. My therapist suggests I should work on accepting that this is the life I am choosing to live, and it's okay, and to grieve the image in my head about being married before having children, that I should also accept that we might never officially get married. Comment. Oh sweet baby Jesus, do you not read all of the posts about women who gave up work and ruined their lives? They could not get out of the relationship due to the man controlling all of the finances? WTH. Get a job. If being married is important to you, I think it is fair after 12 years to give an ultimatum. 12 years is so long. Tell him you need to know you aren't wasting your time with him. Be brutal, be honest, and for God's sake get a freaking job even if it is part-time so that you have options if it doesn't work out. Ultimatum isn't always about controlling behavior, it's in your case, about not willing to settle any longer for something that doesn't suit you. So you have to ask yourself, must you get married? And when must you get married to him based on how long y'all have been together? If your answer is yes, I must be a married woman, and I must be married within the next 2 years, then communicate that with him and make that a non-negotiable. If your answer is no, I don't have to get married, I can simply continue being his fiancé until he's ready, then stop bringing it up. You've cited half a dozen reasons why marrying this guy isn't the right thing to do. From you having no time as an early 20s person to experience life, to his desire to imprison you by making sure you never have the financial means to leave him. Don't be so fixated on marriage that you see it as some magic fix to the obvious issues in this relationship. Marriage doesn't make that all go away. In fact, it just shines a brighter light on everything that's already wrong between you. Usually I'm not one to say divorce is the answer. But it looks like you guys have already done a lot of work to try to fix your relationship. It sounds like you're more committed to this process than he is, though. I think you just need to have a frank, cut to the chase discussion. Tell him you want to be married and want to have kids with your husband, and if doesn't want to be married, he needs to tell you now. Explain how just being engaged makes you feel like you're in limbo and you will not be happy like this. Are you prepared to start a life on your own if he says he's not interested in marriage? If you haven't been working, you'll have to restructure your life to support yourself again. Maybe start putting together an exit strategy anyway. You can have a kid with one of your frozen embryos by yourself or with someone else. I think you need to ask yourself, even if he wants to get married tomorrow, is he still the person you want to grow old with? Next story 2. Am I only remembering the good times rather than the reality of me and my girlfriend's relationship? This has been a somewhat rough subject to talk about, however this is something that has been on my mind. For context, me and my girlfriend have been together for a year and some change now. We knew of each other prior to the relationship through a friend. We started talking, then later on dating after her abusive relationship with her ex. In the beginning the relationship, it was very positive and we would get each other things. Despite this, my mom did not approve of the relationship due to her race, and she later on kicked me out. She was in full support of being there for me during this period, and she risked being homeless as well. We ended up being homeless for 2.5 weeks, sleeping at rest stops and couch hopping until my brother let us live in his apartment. We both later on got jobs and she was able to get a car and a new phone through me helping her. She later on left her job because her employer never paid her during her 1 month working there. During this I was still working and I was still helping her pay her bills. She tried applying to other places but wasn't getting any responses back. Because of this she lost the motivation to apply for more places. I continued supporting her despite me eventually ending up in debt. The relationship later on turned emotionally and financially abusive. She would ask for things and would guilt trip me if I didn't get it for her. She would also throw tantrums, slamming and banging doors and walls over small things. I would try to talk to her to calm her down, but she would continue thinking and acting negatively. She would even do this in front of my friends and my other roommates. Some of my friends that had met her started to dislike her. One of them mentioned that she takes advantage of me and is concerned for my mental health. My roommate mentioned the other day that she doesn't clean up after herself since she became dependent on me doing it along with the laundry and groceries. I told my friends that I wasn't blind to her treating me like this, but why am I continuing to support and enable her? I've thought about telling her that we should have some time apart for a bit. However, what's the best form of action for me? Update: just an hour ago, she was screaming at everyone in the apartment. From our room she said, "Fuck all of you, y'all don't care about me. Y'all would rather see me dead. I want to kill myself," while storming off into our room, slamming doors, hitting herself, and knocking things over. Prior to this I was trying to calm her down cause I saw she was going to have another episode. Next story 3. Weird for me to tell my new partner to try and date other people. 3 weeks ago, an acquaintance I'd never met in person replied to my story on IG. We chatted and then ended up talking on the phone for 3 hours that night. We met for breakfast the next day and spent the whole day together. We clicked quickly and have spent a lot of time together since. We really enjoy each other's company. I feel like a teenager again. Great guy, sweet guy. Yesterday, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes, but with some hesitation. He got out of a 7-year relationship about 5 months ago. They were engaged. She only moved out last month. I'm the first person he's gone out with / dated. And actually the only girl that has replied to a DM. Don't get me wrong, I do really like him. We're both on the same wavelength as far as sobriety, healing, and personal growth. I'd just rather spend time building a friendship and really knowing the person first. I told him we should take it slow, and he should keep his options open. He says all these wonderful things about me, but I'm reminding him we still don't know each other. Tonight, I'm considering retracting my agreement about being his girlfriend and suggesting he date other people. Then maybe down the line, we can be boyfriend / girlfriend. I care about him as a person first. He's a catch, I want him to see what's out there. Is that weird? Will it hurt his feelings? I don't know. Thoughts? Comment. I can only give my perspective as a man who has been through divorce. I started dating again after about 3 months of being divorced. Mostly because the relationship ended a lot longer ago than when it actually ended. I also had dived into a friends with benefits situation pretty quickly after the separation. Like within 2 weeks. I also met and dated my now GF about 5 months after the separation. Speaking from my own personal experience, all of those interactions within the first 6 months post-separation were 100% distractions from the feelings of loneliness that I felt after the divorce. Including the dates I had with my now GF. But things worked out and it's been 2 years strong. Those girls knew what was going on in my life and probably wanted the distraction too. That being my perspective, I would say he is rebounding with you. However, that doesn't mean it won't work out either. Not if he's got some strong emotional intelligence and understands what he is doing. I share the same feelings you're having. I feel he may be holding you because he's scared to be by himself. I too would have reservations about locking in with him so quickly. Expect some hurt feelings to come out of this. People tend to date in parallel or in sequence, and this just may end up being a request he cannot wrap his head around or take the way you intended / hoped. I think the biggest complications are going to spiral out from the question of dating other people, especially if he does not have much in the way of dating history, and doubly so if that 7-year relationship was a first girlfriend situation. If you both go back to the dating pool and that doesn't go so great for one of you, then I would hope it does not lead to resentment or retroactive jealousy.